Howdy, it's Marie. This is Kirby, the friend we all love, the little pink blob that is just so precious. Who doesn't love Kirby? I love Kirby. So I wanted to make something Kirby related. So I had this idea. I thought, hey, wire and resin, you can make some cool stuff with it. So I wanted to make some sort of stained glass window type thing. And I made this beautiful sketch. It took me about 1.5 minutes to make. And that should tell you how much work I put into this. Look at this wonky ass Kirby. Then the disaster followed. And that's entirely my own fault. So first off, I got this lid from one of my IKEA boxes. Funny story, I ordered a few of these boxes and they sent me almost all the boxes except for one. One box was missing, but they sent me the lid. And then I was like, hey, sorry, I got the lid, but the box is missing. And then they sent me another box with the lid. So now I have 2 lids, but only 1 box. So yeah, I'm using this as a surface. So cool stuff. So first I thought I was going to use this black wire, but then I remembered, hey, I have all these cool colors. So I thought, hey, it would probably go really nice with this gold. And I'm making the frame of my stained glass piece. And then I'm using this UV resin I have to kind of connect all the edges, because, yeah, they were just all flying around. And then I decided, okay, the lid is just too small for the final piece, so I'm using this silicone mold and just connecting all the pieces to make the frame. And look at that, it's already looking pretty good. Don't worry, it's gonna get worse. So I'm adjusting the size, making sure it's all where it should be, connecting it with resin, fun stuff. Now at that time, connecting all of it with resin seemed like a good idea. But it wasn't, but you're gonna see that later, so stay tuned. And I'm using a glass cup to kind of form the circle of Kirby's body, then shaping his little feetsies. And shaping out all the other body parts. Good stuff. And I feel like at this point, honestly, I was already pretty happy. Like, this is looking pretty good already, isn't it? So I'm shaping his little arms. This is looking good. So I'm using another glass cup to make kind of a sun, because I thought, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have this sun with the sunbeams at the top shining down on Kirby, make him look like a god, because honestly, I wouldn't mind if Kirby was our god. That seems pretty cool. So I made the sun and all the sunbeams, again gluing them on with resin, and look at that, it's looking really cool, I really like it. And then, yeah, so then I had to shape some stars. I thought, wouldn't be so hard. Take a piece of wire, bend it at the edges with these pliers, and hey, it's gonna be a star. And yeah, about that. Look at that star. It's a beauty. Yeah, a lot harder than I thought it would be. So I was like, yeah, hell no, I'm gonna try again. So I tried to make another star. And hey, this one looked pretty good, but it was too big. And I was like, shit, okay, I'm gonna make another one. Third try. Making a star. Why is it so hard? So I made this one and it looked good, but I didn't cut off enough wire and it was too short. And I was like, what shit, I messed it up. But I kind of, bent another piece of wire and it made it work. And then for the bigger star, I kind of just cut it up and put it in the edge. It's like, yeah, if it doesn't work out, you gotta make it work, Don't get discouraged, just improvise and it's gonna work. In the end, honestly, I'm pretty happy with it. Looks pretty nice. What you can take from that is, even if everything seems like shit, you can always, silver linings, whatever, I don't know what I'm talking about. So I made some more, like, curvy pieces. Curvy, not Kirby. I know why I didn't become a comedian. So I'm putting these pieces in place, and I was kind of thinking, so my mental image was kind of just these curvy shapes that kind of look like clouds maybe, and you know, sun and clouds and stars and whatever. The truth is, actually, I just didn't want to shape anything complicated because I already had to shape the stars, and that it didn't make me happy, let's say that. So I made these cloud-like shapes, put them all into place, again gluing them on with UV resin. And hey, look at that! It looks great. I'm loving it. Honestly, I'm really happy with how this looks. It's nice. So here's the final frame. It looks good, except for all the UV resin sticking out, which is gonna be a pain later. And then I decided to go in with more UV resin because obviously the wire wasn't completely flat. There were some gaps between the wire and the mold I was using. Another big mistake that I'm gonna notice in a bit. So yeah, good job, don't do that. It's bad. So then I felt kind of cheap because UV resin is a lot more expensive than epoxy resin. I was like, okay, I don't want to use up all of my UV resin for this, so I'm gonna use epoxy resin. Another mistake. I'm so glad we can all learn from this, because I learned a lot. So I mixed up a bunch of resin and just took a bit of it, put the remaining stuff in another cup for later. First up, I wanted to make the sun and the beams, oh, and also the stars. So I mixed up this yellow color and put it all in. So far, so good. You know, I was like, yeah, okay, this is going pretty well, right? Nothing to complain about. And then, as you can see, in the bottom left, oh, and the bottom right too, the stars started to leak. Yeah. So that I kind of wanted to avoid that, but oops. But I thought, okay, just keep going. You know, it can't get worse, right? Right. So I mixed up some pink coloring. So, but I put it in. At this point, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get going. It's gonna be fine. So I used the remaining pink and I mixed up some darker reddish pink for the feet and for some other background elements, filling it in. And this is also then where I realized, as you can see, gluing up all the edges with clear UV resin was a bad idea. There are some transparent edges around the wire. Yeah, it's not looking great. So at this point I was still in denial. I was like, no, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, I could have just given up at this moment. I really loved it, but it's just, yeah, no. So the next day, it's even worse. Somehow, I don't know what's up with my yellow coloring, because this isn't the first time this happened. It just kind of loses its color as it's curing. So I was like, okay, maybe I can somehow peel off the resin and keep the wire frame. So I tried to kind of peel away the resin, you know, the resin that is rock hard at this point. Good idea. Yeah, no, this isn't working. So then, for the next week, I didn't do anything because I was like, yeah, I hate this. I decided to instead just play Animal Crossing 24/7. I'm remodeling my island right now and it's looking really good so far. But yeah, so a week later, I thought, okay, I'm gonna try it again. I knew I wouldn't have enough wire, but I just got started and just tried to copy all the elements as far as I could go. And then I ordered some more wire, and a week later I was like, okay, now I'm feeling good. 2 weeks have passed. I can do this. And this time it's gonna be better. It's gonna be beautiful. So kinda try to copy everything. And for the second time, some of the elements are a bit more wonky. The stars. And this time I'm gonna use all my UV resin. And yeah, so generally good idea, yes. But the color that I used, it specifically says on the bottle, can't use this for UV resin, it's for epoxy resin only. And I was like, I mean, come on, it's just whatever, I'm just gonna use it anyway. It mostly worked, except for the yellow, you're gonna see in a bit. And the process of just doing this yellow part, it was long. It took me about 40 minutes just to do the yellow, because I was like, okay, I'm not gonna mess it up again. This time it's gonna be perfect, even if it's gonna take me hours. But hey, honestly, I think it was worth it. And what I realized while I was doing it was that the yellow wasn't curing completely. And I guess that has to do with the colorant. It looked kind of cool in the end. Looks like candy. So then I'm mixing up more resin for a more reddish, darker color for the feet and for some background elements again. And repeating the whole process, just curing the whole time. My UV lamp was so hot in the end because I was really using it for hours. Like every single color took me at least 40 minutes, if not an hour. I was really doing this very slowly. And then in the end, I was really happy with it. I mean, look at this, it's looking good. So I took some Posca pens in black, blue, and white to draw on the little face. And yeah, the face is something that I would change if I did this again, because the eyes are a little bit small, I feel like, compared to the body. And also, the entire face is kind of a bit far on the right. I feel like with this perspective going on, it should be a bit more to the left. But hey, those are minor details. I still think it looks really cute. And so in the end, what you can see when the light reflects is that the entire surface is a bit bumpy. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna top it off with a clear resin layer, this time using epoxy resin. So I topped it off, and at first, like always, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be careful, make sure that nothing runs off the side. And then about 3 seconds later, it was all flowing over, and I was like, okay, cool. So here's how it looks one day later. I really like how it looks so shiny. Here, as I'm peeling it off, you can see how the yellow hasn't cured properly, and this is gonna cause some really ugly bumps in the surface, but hey, it's okay. Nobody's perfect. But then the next day when it was done curing, I used this little rotary tool to cut away the edges, making sure it's nice and straight and beautiful. It was kind of satisfying, honestly. It was fun. I like this part. And then after I cut everything away, I used the tool again to kind of sand off the edges, because yeah, obviously when you're cutting it off, it's not completely straight, so you want to sand it all off. And this time I'm not wearing gloves, which is great. That's a problem I have. I always wear all the protective equipment that you need, but somehow I always forget gloves. I don't know why. So, after I was done sanding it off, this is the final product. It is honestly looking great. I mean, obviously, there are some spots that are not that great, but even though it's not perfect, I'm still really, really happy with the end result. I think it's just looking really cute. And honestly, I think I'm gonna do something like that again. Okay, bye!